Welcome everybody to the RPG Revolution. My name is Carlos Morale and today we're going to the Wintermoor Tactics Club. The Wintermoor Tactics Club is a delightful hybrid of turn-based tactics, visual novel and RPG set in the titular Wintermoor School. You play as Alicia, a thoroughly lovely young lady who attends the school and is part of the Tactics Club, a role-playing group that are using a knockoff Dungeons & Dragons system to write stories for each other and make friends. Wintermoor is a boarding school, and Alicia is far from home, although not as far as some of her schoolmates. Imagine Hogwarts, but without all that silly wand-waving and incantation nonsense. Seemingly everyone in school belongs to one sort of club or another, which is somewhat similar to my experience of school, where everyone joined clubs such as the meet up at the park to have a fag before school club, or the let's just hide here so we don't get our heads kicked in club, or the ever popular well, I'm not going to do any work and will be disruptive because no matter what I'm getting a job at my uncle's garage anyway club. Great days. Well, it wouldn't be much of a story without some conflict, so this is produced by the principal of Wintermoor, who announces that not only will there be a mandatory snowball tournament to decide which will be crowned the ultimate club, but also that all the losing clubs will be forced to disband. This is an unpopular move. So your job is to explore the environs of Wintermoor, take part in a snowball tournament and help out your friends and acquaintances with their various problems. The help is done by moving around the different areas of the school, doing simple tasks like designing a poster about school spirit, to solving simple puzzles, and the tournament bit is done on a tactics grid, as though the battles were tabletop fantasy encounters. It blends nicely together, with neither part dominating the other. It can be an issue with this type of game that the dialogue between characters gets in the way of the meat, the mechanics, if you like, and you find yourself mindlessly clicking through page after page unless it's exceptionally well written, like Persona, for example. That's an example of good dialogue, not bad. Thinking back on how I said that, it sort of made it sound like Persona was an example of bad, which it isn't. In Wintermoor, the pacing is kept brisk so that there's always something or someone new to meet, and the side questing is a short diversion rather than a strenuous effort. There are a surprisingly large amount of characters to engage with during your stay at Wintermoor, and an even more surprising amount of them are actually more than a simple bundle of tropes and a haircut. Initially, your tactics group contains Colin, who is both the usual dungeon master and a paladin. As an aside, also the least useful of all the units that you can field, and should be benched as soon as possible. And Jacob, who is a teen radical and plays a rogue character called, in a move I certainly recognise from childhood, Roguey. You fight against the other clubs in school, often recruiting a member from your beaten foes when they are suddenly bereft of purpose, and the close bonds these groups provide. This allows you to build your roster and a range of new talents and abilities to use in your battles. Alicia also finds the time to help out her new friends with small tasks that help them reinforce their self-worth, and coincidentally find items that help them in battle. How convenient! Speaking of battle, let's talk about the battle system. As I mentioned, it's turn-based. You're on a grid with a bunch of enemies, and you will need to pick your combatants such that they will give you an edge, an advantage in the fight. To begin with, you have a simple sort of ranged damage and tank setup, but as the story progresses you unlock a variety of other characters to fight on your team. I don't want to say what character types they are because I don't want to spoil the story. The story is lightweight but fun and engaging. Anywho, getting back to the battle system, you will be perennially outnumbered, but the odds are stacked very much in your favour. To begin with, your side will always go first, and you can place your units knowing where the enemy has set up. Secondly, your characters have some super abilities that you can trigger on building up a meter, but your meter always starts with one use in the tank, allowing you to make a decisive early turn play. Thirdly, and most handily, you can see the intentions of each enemy unit before you make your moves. You know which enemy unit will target which of your characters, regardless of whether or not they're in range or reachable. So you can position your units to nullify an enemy attack simply by moving them, too far away from the number of spaces an enemy can move, or certain abilities will trigger a change in an enemy response. For example, taunting a foe, or causing damage to sort of switch their focus, and these can be used to protect your squishier units. Personally, I find the cartoon style of the graphics to be charming and really helped to draw me into the story. The art style is very well defined, and although the characters are, yes, they're largely cliches, that makes sense in a school where young people are finding out which groups they want to belong to. It's sort of those cliches are deliberately played up because they're trying to find like-minded people with whom they can bond. So you've got your the tactics club that I mentioned earlier on. You have an equestrian group, that's horses, monarchists for some reason, some like 80s dark wave weird music group who are wearing Devo hats. You've got to whip it into shape. So anyway, what are my final thoughts on Wintermoor Tactical Club? Well, I'll tell you this much. I thoroughly enjoyed the time that I spent with it. It is by no means a life-changing experience. Okay? It is, this isn't like Final Fantasy, whichever number of Final Fantasy it is that appeals to you most. But it is a solid 10 to 15, if you're a completionist, hours of fun strategizing, meeting nice people, and listening to a kind of fun story. Yeah, thoroughly recommended. And certainly it's not expensive. Just let me have a quick look on here, and I will tell you that it is 12 quid or 16 quid if you desire the soundtrack, which was fine. Anyway, thanks very much for watching today's video. Wintermoor Tactics Club, rated very positively by RPG Revolution. That was Wintermoor Tactics Club. If you've played Wintermoor Tactics Club, be very interested to see you leave a comment in the downstairs area. I'm going to leave that in. Yeah, leave your comment in the downstairs area. Ladies, gentlemen, others. And I will see you again when the next one's ready.